Welcome to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by Lucas Oil, Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper, and TireRack.com. Your podcast host, Brian Robinson.
Hello, and welcome to MotorWeek podcast number 291. No John Davis this week, so we'll be doing our best to get through this without him. Helping me do that is Greg Carlos, Over the Edge reporter, Jessica Ray, digital producer, and writer Alexander Kellum. This week, we have a very special show for you. It's all about the Los Angeles Auto Show. Not the first auto show to return since the pandemic, but the second time for LA. I guess they had missed 1 year. Then they were back last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's also auto mobility now. Still, I think, colloquially, well...
Isn't the auto show part of the LA auto mobility thing?
I don't know, because when I get the emails to renew my credentials, it's auto mobility.
Okay.
Thank
you for correcting that.
Everybody still calls it the LA Auto Show.
Right. So yes, there was an auto show out in LA,
Los Angeles, California,
with some reveals of some new cars headed our way. And since Alex was the only one of us that was actually there, why don't you take it from here?
Oh wow! All right, put me on the spot. Yeah. So the Los Angeles Auto Show. Yeah, I'm just going to call it that. So it started the day with the Subaru Impreza. It was the newest, it was the first one of the day for the media day. They opened it up with a really nifty, fake rain show. It was a little over the top.
But it was cool.
That's what auto shows are.
It was cool. They were
actually pretty tame compared to some of the ones I've seen.
They were all the water was from a local, I think it was a Subaru dealership where they detail the cars. It's all recycled. It was it was neat.
Did they have the whole forest set up this time?
And were there dogs walking around?
Yeah, they had I was up in it was like a tree house kind of thing, filming and stuff. So they they went all out. It was serene.
I mean, did you pet the dogs? Did you get to pet the dogs?
I did see where the dogs were. I did not pet the dogs.
So what about the actual vehicle?
Yeah. That's right. We're talking about the new Impreza. Yeah, so all new Impreza, new styling, but most importantly, it is only available now as a hatchback.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So you can only get the hatchback. There is a new RS trim for it, which is at the top. It's a 2.5 liter in it. I think it's the same engine from the Crosstrek that they're bringing over. No manual transmission now. So, so it's...
That's
hatchback.
Tough.
Even Subaru owners don't buy manual transmissions anymore.
Apparently so. Like I said, the big thing is obviously the hatchback, the new RS trim, which harkens back to an older RS trim to my understanding. But
so same basic size as before?
Yeah. I mean, you can expect this roughly the same size. It's not like it grew massively in proportions or anything like that. But yeah. So
and it really didn't change a ton on the exterior.
Right.
You look at it and you're like, oh, that's an Impreza.
Right, yeah.
Nothing really changed. It's definitely a Subaru and probably an Impreza.
Yeah, I'm sure that makes 90% of their current Impreza owners happy. So
that's true. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like not a very sexy way to kick off this LA Auto Show.
Yeah.
But,
well, you know.
Hey, we just cover the cars, Greg.
Yeah, it is. I mean, without going on too much of a rant, it's funny that they dropped the sedan, which, people in America don't really buy sedans anymore, to another thing that people in America doesn't really buy, which is a hatchback. Right. But I think it does, to be fair to them. I mean, it will sell better than the sedan version of the Impreza for sure. And I think I've always liked it more than the sedan.
Yeah.
Which,
So we'll see what they do with the WRX, which was sedan only.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
I mean,
did anybody ask questions about that?
Not during the press thing. I'm sure someone went up afterwards and was like, "Hey, I didn't catch anything." No,
you weren't the massive reporters running up to the stage to grab somebody or be the first person to take a picture of the car.
Although I guess this doesn't spell well for the Crosstrek, I imagine, when it comes to manual transmission. Man. What do you think?
Automakers, we see it all the time. They're just constantly shoving more models into roughly the same category,
right?
But getting away with it because, this one's raised and slightly bigger, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a new Crosstrek.
No. I'm just saying for the manual transmission available in the Crosstrek. That I feel like, if it's gone here.
Is it still available?
Yeah. Yeah.
Get out.
Yep. You can still get it. So
Maybe
I'm
that's the
just
flex
saying,
they're going for. Like they want it to be available. They're like, look, we still got it.
Yeah, I don't
Never
know.
know.
New Crosstrek, I feel like we're not going to see a manual transmission. But, you know, like it probably is only a very fractional amount of their actual sales. So
I'm sure.
But, you know, that in a way kind of too is a little bit of an enthusiast car. It's got a lot of love since it's kind of come on the scene in the last, you know, couple of years. But I
The
don't know.
Crosstrek you're talking about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mostly from us, I think. I'm not sure
We did have a
other
long
people.
term.
Yeah, I mean, I love that thing. I'm not sure everyone loves it as much as I do, though.
Well, I think it was what people wanted was a lifted Impreza.
It's useful.
Yes.
It's very useful. I am a little bit upset about the RS trim, and then it gets 182 horsepower still through a CVT. I don't know. When I think of an RS,
That's super.
it's just like,
Yeah.
oh man, that's probably like lowered a little bit, probably an updated or a stiff suspension, and it was just slightly larger engine, some trim pieces. I didn't get into the whole details, but did they mention anything about suspension bits in the RS, or is it literally just like Volkswagen's R line?
I can't recall. I think as a whole, they mentioned that the new Impreza is it's like 10% stiffer. I
Yeah,
think
that's
like
right.
there's,
Yeah.
you know, so as a whole, they've
Stiffer,
made changes.
lower,
but-
longer, wider, all those
Right.
buzzwords.
Normal
Yeah.
stuff I put in every script. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think we covered the Impreza,
The
more than
Impreza
enough.
thoroughly, yeah,
What
thoroughly
else you
enough.
got?
Well, we got a few to talk about. I guess we can talk about the new Toyota Prius.
big news.
That was
That's
a
big
big
news.
Probably
that was
the
a big
biggest
one.
news.
Yeah.
What is it now? 5th or 6th gen? What are you up to now?
Fifth gen.
Fifth
Yes.
gen hybrid system. I don't know if any hybrid system is ever carried over into another Prius, but if you're
okay.
going by hybrid
I got you.
systems, it's the 5th generation, and easily the best looking Prius. I think we're
Oh,
all
yeah.
in
Oh,
agreement with that.
absolutely.
And probably the biggest statement Toyota has made with the Prius lineup as far as styling goes. I mean, the last one was a minor improvement over the 3rd gen, but this one is just like, it seems like they kind of said, all right, let's make a statement with this new Prius. More efficient, like up to 57 miles per gallon combined.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking near 60 miles per gallon combined now, and not a plug-in hybrid, but just a straight-up hybrid.
Right.
Though speaking of the plug-in hybrid, the Prime or whatever, I believe they mentioned that the EV-only range is increasing by like 50%, so that would be like
Yeah.
12 more miles
Roughly
or so.
40 miles total
Yeah.
then.
Thirty.
I mean,
which is
Yeah.
more in line with their RAV4 Prime.
Yeah.
Which is good. Which is
Yeah,
really,
I think
really
that's kind
good.
of the expected mark if you have a PHEV is like above 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need somewhere in the 40 to 50 range now. Definitely where they need to be.
Yeah.
It looks like an electric car. It's like, well, you know, it's not electric yet, but
Like a cool
it looks like,
electric car.
yeah.
It's not just like a technical, like nerdy car. It's like, oh man, that actually looks really good. I think they'll probably bring in a few more buyers just from that alone, honestly.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
forget-
absolutely.
Forget that. I think we're now pushing like 200 horsepower in a Prius.
Yeah, I think they said in the hybrid is 190 horsepower. The plug-in hybrid is 220.
Yeah.
I mean, those aren't official. Those aren't our official U.S. numbers because we don't have those numbers quite yet, since this was a global reveal. But I think this is pretty much a slam dunk for Toyota because they knew. I mean, they had to have known. You know, gas prices are going to rise. People are going to want more fuel-efficient vehicles. And I think after the last spike of fuel prices just being so incredibly high, I think people are thinking more about fuel efficiency in their vehicles. And if you can make the Prius look good and you can get, you can sell a lot of people on 55, 57 miles per gallon easily.
Well, it's tough because, you know, if people watch TV, all they hear about is how they're not even going to be able to buy gasoline engine cars in a few years. So I'm not sure. It's a tough time. I'm sure there are a lot of people that would love and could benefit from a new Prius, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how sales go.
I just looked up a picture to refresh my memory. It looks better than I remembered it, but the rake on this windshield is insane. It's like Lambo.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
that
Yeah.
too, yeah.
I'm curious if I'll even fit in this thing.
Yep.
I think
Oh,
it's even
man.
like more than the EQE that we just tested.
Yeah, I mean,
Like-
we kind of made fun of the EQS because it looked like they built it in a wind tunnel and just said, all right, let's make everything as aerodynamic as possible. This, like, clearly they're going for the aerodynamic look, but they somehow made it look better than, what is traditional. German Mercedes usually makes I think everybody would agree, probably makes a better looking car than Toyota usually, but not here. The Prius, I think, is a much better looking car.
All right, what else you got?
Well, I guess while we're in Toyota's wheelhouse, we should briefly mention the BZ Compact concept, which at the show was like there was the Prius on the Lazy Susan that everyone was like crowding around, and then there was this, which was sitting next to it, and people were like interested, like it was cool, but it wasn't like getting all the attention.
It looked dimly lit, and it was already like a matte gray.
Yeah. They weren't really
you
doing
have to
it too
stumble
many.
upon. You're like, wait a second, is this new?
With BZ, this one is all electric, right?
Yeah. So this would be all electric. So again, it is a concept. So this isn't like full blown whatever. But Toyota has expressed interest in bringing more electric vehicles into the market. I think they have like 5 that they're supposed to be showing over the next however many years that is, or year. So this is probably one of them. Not too much was really said about it. It was matte black. It sat there. It was a little bit more aggressive looking than the current BZ4X. So there was that.
Supposedly electric?
Yeah,
I think it looks cool.
Yeah,
I think it looks better than the BZ4X.
I
and so
wholeheartedly
they
agree.
if they take some of those design elements and, put it in their next EV model that they show.
This was smaller or bigger than the 4?
Well, I think, Greg, you had looked it up.
Yeah,
it's
actually quite a bit shorter. I think, I don't know if Toyota gave out the measurements, but somebody must have measured it because you usually see people going through there.
Yeah. All the roof rack guys and stuff,
It's like inches, maybe close to a foot shorter than the BZ4X, which is roughly, for reference, like RAV4 size, but much shorter. And it's a tiny bit wider than the BZ4X. So I think people are speculating that it's going to be the BZ3X, which would mean it's technically smaller than the BZ4X. For the numbers in there is going to tell you basically how big it is.
You would think so, but sometimes they don't work out that way.
That's true.
Right?
BMW pretty much just abandoned that.
So, but they didn't give any technical...
not that I'm aware of, no. There may be a press release out now that discusses it further, but from my coverage, like when I was there at the show, they didn't like talk about it really. It was just there.
All right.
Interesting.
Well, speaking of vehicles that the numbers denotate size, I guess we can move over to VinFast.
All right. Okay. Wow.
VinFast.
Okay.
Normally we end with VinFast.
we can,
right there in the
we
middle.
can, I figured, mix it up a little bit.
Maybe tell us what VinFast is first.
Remind
Yeah.
everyone.
Vietnamese
Sure.
automaker
Listeners.
that
Okay.
is breaking into the international scene. Actually, at the time of recording this, they just, in theory, shipped over their first batch of, I believe, VF8s over to the States. Yep, it's official. So what they did at the show, though, is they showed off 2 more U.S. models, the VF6 and the VF7, and as I kind of alluded to, the number makes, it kind of denotes how big it is. So the 6 would be the smaller of the bunch, 166.9 inches long. VF7 gets a little bit bigger at 178. We've talked about the VF8 and the 9 before, and they had like the 8 there and stuff, but the focus was really on the 6 and the 7. So has a lot of the same like design lingo, like the V-shaped lighting in the front, things like that. They are obviously they're all electric SUVs, and
They're very unique looking, that's for
Yeah, because
sure.
they're
Yes.
Pininfarina designed, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
So pretty cool looking. And they're also unique in that they are doing like a battery subscription where you basically have to pay a
Yes.
separate fee.
Okay. I saw
That is
something about
not-
that. I didn't read the press.
It's not attached. Yeah, and this isn't news. It's
yeah.
not attached to the price of the car, but I think you are required to pay it if you want one. And it's not huge. I think it was estimated around like $35 a month.
It
roughly.
depends.
It may have
There's
been
like
updated.
2. Remember, we did talk about it on a podcast months and
Yeah.
months ago about their subscription service.
Well,
There's
maybe
2
you don't have
different
to.
ones.
Because
And-
they do mention that it's basically, so they cover the battery. That's what you're paying for. So
Right.
if something happens down the road. But I also saw that it was like basically for as long as you pay for it. So maybe that does. So I thought it was like a must do thing. But
I
it's
thought.
basically as soon as you're done paying for it, it's like that coverage is gone. You no longer.
So essentially, yeah, you never have to worry about your battery.
Correct.
Yeah,
that's
once
the
it-
appeal of it, and they're cheaper.
Yeah, once it gets to a certain like efficiency, like it's lost X amount, they can
think
swap
it's
it out. I want to say it's 70%, but I'm not 100%.
And they're strictly online only. You just order, or do they have a dealer?
I-
network
Like
set up?
autonomy or
I
something.
believe they're opening up places you can go. I don't know if you do order there or if they're like more or less experience centers where you can go to drive them. But I believe they have like 1 or 2 locations already.
Really?
I believe so. I could be wrong, but they had discussed like we want to open up more of these. They have that plant that's also going to be
they've-
starting.
Still building.
Yeah, in North Carolina, I
And
believe.
they also shipped, an interesting fact, 999 of them today, which is apparently a lucky number in
Okay.
Vietnam. So there's symbolism behind the 999. I thought it was odd at first, which is why I looked up why they would do that. But there's purpose behind it.
Interesting. Okay.
Or just very, very good marketing. I don't know. They're like, we literally only had
Both.
999.
It's both. I think it's both.
What else was at the show?
We got a few things. I'll save what I think is the coolest one for last, so we'll bang out some of these other ones. Fiat 500e. They showed that off, not the U.S. model. They were the Euro ones, but the U.S. one will be next year. So tune in a year, and we'll talk about the U.S. one.
It still lives.
Which, so it'll be coming in 2024. You won't be
Yeah.
able to buy one until 2024, but
Yeah.
we'll see it in 2023.
Yeah, we'll get our peepers on
It
that.
wasn't that long ago. You could still buy one of the originals.
Mm-hmm.
They were floating around. There was a dealer up in Pennsylvania. I guess they bought a bunch of them on auction. You could buy a brand new 500e for $15,000. I almost bought one.
What's the last
Dang.
500 we drove?
The last 500? Well, we had the X.
Long term.
You're talking
the
about
X,
strictly
500X, 500L, I remember years
Right.
ago. Just the regular 500.
I think it was that long term, wasn't it?
No, that was an X.
Regular 500. You're saying.
Yeah, maybe one of those Abarths
yeah. Those were
the
fun.
Remember the convertible? That's not really a convertible. Just
Well, the good news about this one is if you're a fan of the original design,
Yeah, yeah.
they're kind of like Mini in that they got to keep that iconic shape to be successful. Did they give any details on that as far as range and all? But
So, sort of. They kind of tease like a approximate 150 miles worth of range for the U.S. model. Again, what's a little confusing right now is that they're like in Europe you can buy a 500e.
Right.
It's a thing that exists, but obviously the U.S. model is going to be different in some capacity. So they didn't want to come out and say like, here's everything you can get. Here's the battery pack you can get. I want to say the European model, there's like 2 battery packs you can choose. One of them being, I think it's either 33.7 or 37.3 kilowatt hour. But they suspect whatever the largest one is, that's the one that's going to power the U.S.
it
model.
makes sense. I
You
mean,
know,
the
yeah.
last one was about 100 miles, I think, a little over 100. But back when
Yeah.
that was cool.
yeah, I guess I'm confusing it with Smart because they went,
Right.
the only model you could get in the U.S. was all electric, right? A couple years ago.
Did they? I don't know about that.
I thought there was a point, and I'm pretty sure it was Smart, not the 500, was
Okay.
that the only Smart car you could get in the U.S. was all electric.
Did we have one of those Smart EV? Yeah, I guess we did.
We did at some
Yeah.
point. I've only driven like 2 of them.
Yeah.
And I remember the transmission was like you were driving with somebody who doesn't know how to drive a manual.
Nice.
But at least it
was
had a
crazy.
transmission. It was an
At least
EV
it had
with
a transmission, yeah. That was all I'm going off on tangents here. Because that was, remember the Scion IQ?
Uh-huh.
That tiny little thing?
Yeah,
That was all
like the 3-seater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiny little thing. Because that was all the rage. Like right when I started was the whole smart car idea. We're still internal combustion, but like super, super tiny.
Right. It just doesn't work here. I mean, it's perfect
No.
for big cities,
Chevy.
European.
It's perfect in Europe. I mean, they park those things on the sidewalks there.
Yeah. You can't do that here, right? So, yeah.
Well, I mean, you can.
Yeah, or you can
People
back
do.
them up to the curb and you
Right.
can put
Yeah.
2 in space, which would definitely get you a ticket if you tried that. All right, moving on. That's enough.
I guess.
Before I go on another tangent.
Yeah, I guess briefly, Genesis, talk about the X convertible concept, which was there.
That's the one that seemed to get the most press from what I saw.
It got a lot of hype. It finishes out a trifecta of concepts that Genesis has put out. So, kind of going all out. From the pictures, you can already tell. Pretty cool looking. Long hood, short rear deck, lighting effects like that wrap around the front.
All electric platform.
All electric. Yep.
A big 4-seat convertible, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is
But-
massive. It's like a train.
Right. And it looked cool, but it's like too cool that like it could never be an
the
actual
BZ
production
concept.
car. Yeah.
You could see a
Yeah,
lot of that.
like that
making
could
it in.
exist.
Something
Yeah.
like this will. Some minor features like the lighting up front will make it
Right.
in. Maybe some of the interior detail, but we won't see this car or anything close to it.
It's such a bummer. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, though, too. The interior is kind of like that, almost like cockpit feel.
Yeah,
to
it's
the
very
driver.
cocoon-like. Yeah.
Nice. I like that cocoon.
You're coming up with some good words.
I
He's
read the press
right.
release, all right?
He just sits and reads his dictionary when he's writing.
Yeah,
sources.
Yeah, the dictionary is loosely based off my life.
So was that your
Yeah.
favorite, or did we get to your favorite yet?
Favorite from the whole show?
Yeah.
No, my
Okay.
favorite would have to be what I was saving in theory for last.
last.
The Porsche 911
Oh,
Dakar. It was Dakar.
The car.
Yeah. Yeah, this thing, we actually, all right. It was, all right. Yeah, so we got to go to the convention center a little early to go see this thing the day before. Pays
They
almost,
did it in the convention center.
yeah, they had, it was like,
Times are tough, man. They used to take us to Fox Studios, and like the F-Type was the crazy when the new F-Type Coupe came out. Maybe it was the original. No, it was F-Type Coupe. They took us to Fox Studios and did this whole production. Man, it was insane. It was
Is that
awesome.
the one they did a loop? They drove through a loop?
No, that was another one. Jaguar puts on some good, but even
Yeah.
Porsche has done good stuff in the past.
Times are tough, Greg.
It's got to be.
Dang.
Anyway, back to the car.
well, they did have the original from the Paris Dakar rally there in '84, and they started it up and everything. So that was pretty cool. They had a little flair there. But yeah, so this new one, obviously, it pays homage to that rally and just in general the whole Safari rally heritage of it. Powered by the 3-liter twin-turbo Boxer engine, we're looking at 473 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque. You get an 8-speed PDK, and most importantly, you get Porsche Traction Management all-wheel drive. So, of course, this is a throwback to the first implementation of all-wheel drive on a 911, which was that '84 Dakar. It also sits a little bit higher than your regular Carrera, about 2-ish inches higher. There is a high-level setting for the suspension, so you can go even higher, about an extra inch, though you can only go up to 105 miles per hour in that setting.
Only.
That
That's
is-
pretty fast.
Yeah,
Going up.
and that is
fast on a dirt track.
that is thanks to the Pirelli Scorpion all-terrain tires, which were made specifically for this model. Other things you get with it: rear axle steering, dynamic chassis control, an off-road and a rally mode, the latter of which sends power. It biases it towards the rear axle, and you can get that sweet throwback livery if you so choose. But
It's sweet.
to make this thing uber exclusive, it is limited to 2,500 units globally, and you're looking at a price tag of around $225,000, give or take.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So essentially a jacked up 911
Yeah.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, yes.
with some cool paint from the Dakar
And a
rally.
GT3 hood.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They'll look great
can
driving
get-
around the streets of LA.
Right. You know?
You can get summer tires on it though. You don't have
Yeah.
to. You can get summer and winter. You don't have to have those big chunky Pirelli, which the tires do look awesome.
They do. They
look
were rad.
impressive. Yeah, if you're not into like super into Porsches or cars, like you're probably like, where did this come from? It's a thing. Like 911, there's like plenty of people who build their 911s just like this. Just
Yeah.
because it is a thing, and it's a cool thing in my
A
opinion.
911 version of like a Baja buggy.
Exactly.
Volkswagen.
Yeah.
And I feel like safari cars are kind of coming back too. People really
Yeah, people
like
are doing
that
them in
style.
Miatas and like C5 Corvettes I've seen.
I missed out on this trend. I'm so.
Yeah.
You're not
I
on the
mean-
internet. Like,
Yeah, that'll do it.
The Huracan's getting.
Yeah, I was about to
Yeah,
say.
the
Yeah.
Huracan.
rad.
Yeah, they've been showing that thing around for a while.
Yeah.
we got to drive this thing.
Yeah. Now this is good looking.
It looks
this
great.
This is a cool car, man.
It was incredibly cool to see, and like I said, having the vintage one right next to it was just awesome.
Need to find a dirt track we can use.
True.
There's plenty of them around.
Yeah. All right. Well,
You talking about just like an oval or like
yeah, like a
Like a
course.
proper.
No, I mean the oval would be
like
fun.
what kind of
Yeah.
course? Like a dirt bike?
I don't know, man. Like a safari course.
Or like a rally
kinda-
stage?
Yeah, like a dirt bike track. If we found like a dirt bike track that was less jumpy.
Jumps, yeah.
Well, they had it when I
So if
drove
anybody's
the-
listening to this in our area,
See, when I drove the Urus, the Performante, they had us on like a dirt course,
Right.
and it was really cool. A lot of cool like turns, like the turns obviously have to be like wide and stuff, and the jumps can't be. There really weren't jumps.
All we got to
but
do
it
is
was
go to
cool.
Rome.
Yeah,
Right? That's
yeah,
where it
go to
was,
Rome.
right?
Yeah, they have
Also,
one there. So
Kudos to you for really hitting the pronunciation of, I just say Urus now.
I
mean,
felt
you really sold it on that video.
I felt really weird. So we're talking about
In front
I
of
did
all the
first drive on
Italians
a
when you don't-
yes, because they say it like this. They say Udis.
It's so beautiful.
They say
and we just say
Urus.
Urus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like hard because sometimes I feel like I'm, it's one of those words that you say and then you're like, did I say that right? Did it come out of my mouth correctly? I don't know, but yeah, it was. Yeah, they're very insistent.
That's how I go through life pretty much every day. Was that it? Did we cover it from LA?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, all the big hits, you know.
All right.
Other than I think a revised Kia Seltos.
Oh, yeah, that was
about
there.
it. I just saw like it's a little bit more oomph, a little more power.
Is there anything from Hyundai?
Well,
something.
they had
They showed off the Ioniq 6, which, you know, we've
We've
talked
seen,
about
yeah,
before,
seen
yeah.
Not
But
really
it was...
revealed.
Oh, they have a reveal.
Yeah,
Interesting.
no. I guess maybe. Well, I can't. I always think of putting Hyundai and Genesis together, but you can't put them together in aspects like this because they are two separate. They're related, but they're two separate companies when it comes to like reveals and stuff. So
Well, maybe that waterfall thing was the highlight of the show.
It
Sounds like it.
It was
It's
it
not an
was
awful
neat.
show,
It was
but
neat.
I
It
feel
was,
bad because I was like hyping this show when we've talked about other ones and do we need auto shows? And I said it was like the premier show in the U.S. And it's still, I mean, technically is because we had probably had the most major reveals, but compared to years past, just doesn't feel as exciting.
I think most people were expecting a little more, yeah, because after, what was it, New York or Detroit? Whatever the last one
just
was.
very lackluster.
Yeah, everyone was like, yeah, but wait till LA. But we waited.
We waited.
Waited.
And we're disappointed.
I mean, do you think that the automakers are still trying to figure out whether it's worth it to be there or not?
Well, I think they determined that it's not for
Right.
the most part. Unless,
Just let people see their cars they currently sell
Yeah.
is the big thing for them.
yeah, unless you're going to be the one or two that make the big splash, you can make your own big splash somewhere else.
Right, when you have the stage to yourself.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, we'll move on to our lightning round. 30 seconds for everyone to address this trending topic in the automotive industry. So here we go. Rideshare company Lyft, which we're all familiar with, is venturing into the roadside assistance arena with their new Lyft Pink plan. For $9.99 a month or $99 a year, Lyft Pink can offer you a tow, some gas, or change your tire.
Or just someone to talk to.
Yeah. I wonder, or Charger EV would be a more realistic thing. But anyway, do you think people will start choosing this new platform for roadside assistance? Who wants to go first?
I
Alex?
guess I can
You have some
tackle it.
thoughts?
You know, I'm not really sure. I think it's a neat idea on paper. Actually, the Charger EV in a pinch, that's actually, you know, I think a really good angle to take it. But the thing is like a lot of people's insurance plans, I mean, you already pay for effectively this. So my question would be, not so much how does this compete with the pricing, so much as it is I personally am drowning in subscription pain right now, where it's like everything I have to pay for,
Yeah.
you know, this, that, or whatever. Like, it's like, oh, I don't have to pay for cable anymore, but I'm literally paying the same price with all my subscription services. Do I want to pay, like I'm paying my car insurance, effectively a subscription service? Do I now want to pay another one to get roadside assistance? I mean, I guess if your insurance plan's roadside program is more expensive, then this does make sense. But then you have to look at, well, what am I getting with this specifically? Am I just getting these things? Does my roadside cover more? I think it's going to boil down to the individual. So my milquetoast answer is it's interesting, but is it cost effective?
All right.
Oh, so are they contracting like tow truck drivers to do this? Or are they going to buy their own fleet
They
and
must
train
be.
their own
I mean,
mechanics?
that's how AAA works. It's
That's what I mean. I assume they would. It's not like they're going to do it on their own. But I'm just trying to figure out what the benefit is over what Alex is bringing up. If you have a car, you likely have car insurance, and it's likely included in your plan unless you have like a super bare bones one.
Right.
Which in this, I mean, I'm not saying it depends on how easy it is to to set up and cancel.
Yes.
And all that, because
and its coverage,
Right.
like physical location. Like
Right.
maybe there are places where your insurance just can't get someone, but this can. That could be worth it.
Yeah, if you were
know?
like stuck on the side of the road and like for whatever reason insurance couldn't get it done, if you were able to go on your phone and you had cell service,
Yeah.
just pay $10 and have somebody come out.
Yeah.
That
I see the merit in that,
yes,
because
because you can do
that's-
it. You can sign up immediately and get a tow or whatever.
Right.
Have somebody come out.
That's the
immediately.
appeal of a lot of these, like Hulu Live, YouTube, whatever they call it.
TV, yeah.
Because you can, like, it's as advertised, where it's like you sign up for a month, you don't want it next month, cancel it.
Yep.
Come back the next month, sure. It's like the same. You don't have to go through the cable company. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I see its merits there, but as like in operation, and if you already have insurance, like I'm not sure I'm not sure there's a need to, if you already have it, to get rid of it and do this.
I think there's a lot of people who also don't realize that they have roadside coverage with their insurance. Not to call it my brother, but one time he did not realize that he could just look on the back of his or look on his insurance card, and we had roadside coverage. He didn't need to, call my mom and say, what do I do? It was right there. So a lot of people don't realize that they have that coverage. And I guess depending on what type of driver you are, because my driving record's pretty clean, so I have relatively inexpensive insurance, but that is not the case for a lot of people. So maybe adding roadside insurance is that roadside aspect of it would be unaffordable for certain people. So, I think there's merit to it, but I also think there's a lot of places where you go where there's no lift, right? So I imagine in those places, there's probably no lift pink or potentially no towing capabilities if there's no Lyft drivers. So I think it's a good idea, and I think there's probably going to be certain use cases for it, but maybe just check to see if your insurance already has roadside assistance
And a
coverage.
lot of just even new cars today will come with a couple years worth of
Maintenance,
roadside
yeah.
assistance.
Yep.
Not even insurance, but most insurance plans do cover it. Obviously, they're smarter than me. They have a company. I don't have my own company, so they obviously make better decisions in life than I do. But it does seem a little odd to me. Like you said, with insurance, AAA's been out there for years doing it. I don't know, but maybe it's a good way. If I got a gas can and a lug wrench, I can be like a Lyft pink
Contractor.
Yeah.
You need some extra money on the
Not a bad
weekends?
idea.
Well, I don't have to haul people around in my car. I just need a gas can and a lug wrench.
That's
check.
Also interesting, it's $9.99 a month. I'm trying to figure out a scenario once you go month to month with these payments. You know what I mean? I get it, like I just described, where it's like, oh, you're on the side of the road, need something now, to do it for $10, like a one-time fee of $10.
Well, they do have I
great.
think they have, maybe they don't have a one-time
But I just don't
fee.
see, unless you're
They have other
expecting your car to
fees.
break down for the next 3 months.
This could also be beneficial for people that maybe it's like they travel so much, or they own a car and they're only going to have it for X amount of time, where it's like, I need coverage for the next 6 months, and this is more affordable than my insurance. You need car insurance.
Yeah.
Please get car
Yeah, but
insurance.
this is just for roadside.
But
Yeah.
if we're talking about all these factors with roadside, maybe it costs X amount with your plan. Maybe you get this instead, and then kind of going on that, you can cancel whenever you want. It's like, oh, I'm going to be out of the country for 3 months. Let me just cancel.
Or
this.
my kids.
Maybe it's easier.
Your kids
I don't know.
driving off to college, have it for that week or whatever, and then they cancel it.
Sounds like a money grab to me now that I'm
Yeah,
thinking
well,
about it. Because it's like you
it
sign up
is.
for one day, and then you're like, next month, oh man, I forgot to
Right.
unsubscribe.
Well, that's every
Right, exactly.
situation.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Compared to everything
Yeah.
else, they bank on you forgetting for another
Yeah.
month. They just got another $10.
Safety sells in the car business. If we
true.
learn nothing else, people will pay a lot of extra money to quote unquote feel safe, whether they actually are or not, and that certainly has some appeal with this.
We probably beat this one to death.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's move
Probably
on.
didn't deserve to.
Then maybe you can answer this question from Odom 214. Am I pronouncing that right? Odom?
I believe so.
I thought, I'm not sure. Is that some kind of
that's
game
just the
character that I don't know
username.
about?
That's just the username.
Okay, all right. Is it true, Greg, that two-seaters aren't as popular as they were, say, 20 years ago? I remember people remarking on their waning popularity at that time as well.
Yes, is the answer to that. There is less interest in two-seaters. I'm not going to go into reasons why, but I can tell you, yes, there's less interest in them. You saw, back in the, 2000s, Honda gave up the S2000. Even Miata, which is probably the most popular two-seater roadster, they had to go with Fiat to get the current generation up and going, which also led to the Fiat 124 Spider, which we were just talking off air. Not totally sure that's even available anymore, but if it is, I would recommend you try it out if you're into that sort of thing. So yeah, to answer that question, they are definitely waning in popularity. If I had to guess, it's just a different generation of driver. I mean, I just don't think that whole concept of just owning a car to use on weekends or in like very limited situations is that appealing to people who are really buying cars right now, and possibly even affordability. Is it viable to have that extra expense on your budget?
Yeah. Also, one other thing is just to get that driving experience. Maybe 24 years ago, you had to get like a two-seat roadster. You can get that same kind of thrilling driving experience in a WRX or any kind of four-seaters now. You don't need a
even
two-seater.
SUVs at this point.
Yeah. You don't need a two-seat car just to go have a fun driving car. Alex, Jessica, anything else?
I mean, yeah, you pretty much hit it, I think. And, especially what you just said there, you don't need a two-seater to get that, like, fun experience. Especially, I think auto manufacturers are creating cars with the idea of the one-car solution, right? You need one car that can do it all. And we've seen it across the board in pickup trucks and in sports cars. I mean, think about like the Civic Type R. You can't get that in a two-door. It only comes in a four-door because the types of people who are buying it are like Greg, who have two children and need car seats and space to put in the back.
I had to sell my Miata.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say it's because he was tall. Yeah.
Well, that
Usually
too,
we only
also.
go to Greg when he was tall.
Yeah.
Now we got to bring up car seats too.
But yeah, no, so I think they're waning. And I think it's kind of interesting in the scope of like MotorWeek specifically, like when you watch old episodes and we kind of like foreshadow some of this stuff coming in. Like I know, like I think John on like not a recent episode, but like on maybe in like season 20, so like the late,
more recent,
the turn of the century, and we're already talking
yes.
about how the craze of SUVs, and we're still talking about that, same thing. So it's
real quick. How many can we name that are available right now? Two-seaters, Supra.
Toyota Supra, yeah.
Miata
still available. If the 124 is still available, that's it. But that's the same car.
The Z. Now the
BMW
Z.
Z4, yeah.
Nissan Z.
Oh, Nissan Z.
yeah, the Z.
Nissan Z.
I'm already getting more than I thought.
Mercedes SL.
Mercedes SL. Audi TT.
Audi TT. Is that Jag F-Type? That's a
F-Type's a two-seater.
Two-seater, yeah. F-Type. Wow, this is
718.
good exercise, guys.
I think we got 6.
Yeah. So we already said BMW Z4.
Did we say?
Oh, I didn't include that, so 7.
That's a four-seater.
That's four-seater.
Yeah.
You had mentioned the 718 before, right?
I said that. I consider that the same car as the Miata.
718 is the same
yeah.
as Cayman.
I'm thinking of 124.
72. Yeah,
my bad.
I was gonna say.
Yes, the whole Cayman lineup.
Cayman.
There's like one super obvious one that we're missing.
Yeah, I mean,
everyone
I can't
listening
wait
right now. It's like,
Corvette.
Corvette. Oh, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, then you get into exotics. Like all those exotics are
Sure.
two-seaters.
Yeah, Lambos.
But I mean, Corvette's still within the realm.
It's mid-engine now. Pretty much every mid-engine car.
Still the most
is
accessible
two-seater.
one is the Miata, which has always been true, which is why everyone
And like
likes
in the
it.
S2000 Toyota MR2, they came out
the MR2,
to
yeah.
compete with it, but then
Yeah.
they didn't stick around.
And the
Because
funniest and the
interest waned.
Or it just they just didn't measure up to the Miata for the price.
and now those are highly coveted on the used market.
Yep.
Try to get an S2000. Good luck.
Yeah.
Pretty sure all the ones on the East Coast rusted out. So
Good question. Odom 214 got us thinking there. And Feel free to email us your questions and or make comments on the YouTube channel, and maybe let us know all the two-seaters that we left out there.
Yeah.
Surely at
That'd be
least
great.
one or two.
Had to have.
That'd be great. All right. Do we have a rant and rave?
No, I don't.
Or-
I just,
I only have a real
You got
quick
one?
rave.
Oh, good.
I was talking to Benny D this weekend about Gran Turismo.
Benjamin Davis.
Yeah, Ben Davis, our old friend, who we'll see in Roebling in a few weeks. Gran Turismo 7, which, I know it's not new, but he sent me this video of gameplay. He was thinking about, hopefully his son's not listening, about getting it for Christmas. I'm just amazed at the sound engineering in this thing.
yeah? Oh,
yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
dude. Like we're in I forget what car it was, but it was a race car. It used to be you would hear engine noise, a little bit of tire squealing, and that's pretty much it. That used to blow my mind back in the, late 90s, early 2000s. But you hear everything now. Like you hear like suspension movement, you hear echoes of like rocks coming up and hitting the tub. Like every little sound detail that's happening in real time from depending on what you're doing. If you go off in the grass, I mean, you're hearing crap come up and hit you. And I think all of us have been in a race car at some point. I mean, it sounds exactly like it sounds in a race car. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, it's every day I'm just amazed by what we can do as a species.
Well, it's like, we have such a unique position here where we get to experience this sort of stuff
Yeah.
firsthand.
You can
But-
differentiate a Porsche from like a Porsche Boxer engine from a Subaru Boxer engine in these games now, because they literally spend hours and all this money to just get the exact tone right. It's awesome.
And like
So there's my rave.
now just the average Joe can feel it and hear it, and that's awesome.
So what does a game like Gran Turismo 7 cost these days? Or can you
Dude,
even
I
buy
haven't
it?
bought a video
You probably
game
have to
that's
rent it.
discounted in
It's like
years.
$70,
60 or 70,
That's really, that's all?
Yeah, so,
I mean,
That's all?
That's all pretty average.
That's not,
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
about it.
Once you got
it's not
past
outrageous considering,
You gotta-
paying like $20 for Atari games back in the day.
20 years ago, I was probably on the original Xbox spending $50 for a new game.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
if it's gotten that much better
oh yeah.
and only gone up that
Yeah.
amount, I mean, that is pretty
And we
impressive.
didn't even talk about the graphics, which I
Oh
won't.
my God!
they're insane. Yeah.
You could take a screenshot and not even realize that you're taking a screenshot
Yeah.
of a video game. You're like, wait, that's not somebody driving on a track right now. It's crazy.
Crazy
It's
time,
crazy.
Robinson. You gotta
Yeah.
plug in, dude.
So if there's not enough two-seaters out there, just play the game and you can drive all the two-seaters you
Really?
like.
Yeah, maybe someone should send us a review copy. So we
Yeah,
can-
yeah. Hey, I'll
Check it out.
do
A
it.
whole segment on
Yeah.
that.
Send us the racing sim at the same time, like
Yeah.
the seat,
I
wheel
almost-
shifter.
Yes.
I had a whole segment set up with the CXC simulators.
Really?
I to LA. Yep. COVID.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Yep.
I haven't
remember
been
that.
able to do it since then.
That would have been so rad.
Oh my God, would have been sweet.
In the future, though, Greg's gonna definitely do it at some point. I'm sure. Hopefully.
I plan on it.
Sounds like a plan. With
All
that,
right.
we'll wrap it up officially this time. Thank audio engineer David Wainwright, podcast producer Jessica Ray, podcast creator Bob Mixter, and thanks to all of you for tuning in. We will see you next time on MotorWeek.
You have been listening to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by Lucas Oil, Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper, and TireRack.com.